Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger and my friends. Today we are talking about Akuma. So Akuma, you probably heard of the guy, got big red hair, bad attitude problems, and I'm here to pose a question today about Akuma. Is Akuma the single most dominant character in the history of fighting games? Really as simple as that. Dude's been around for almost 30 years at this point, and pretty much, not every single game, but most games, he tends to make a big splash. Part of that is definitely due to his actual character, his mannerisms, because, he's presented as one of the strongest characters ever, within the context of the story. But it also tends to pan out that way in the games themselves, in that he's overwhelmingly powerful. Now, before we get into it, he's certainly not the only character to just absolutely run wild in a bunch of games in their franchise, right? Say for a few other example characters, someone like Iori in King of Fighters. Iori usually is pretty good in just about every game. He's not good in every single game, but in a lot of games he is good, and some of them he's just flat out great. Someone like Akira in Virtua Fighter. Akira might be, generic karate man, at least in appearance anyways. And the thing is, he usually tends to run the show in a lot of the games. Besides Akuma, another good example would say be Kabal in Mortal Kombat. Kabal is not in every Mortal Kombat, to be sure, but when he shows up, he usually makes a lasting impression, perhaps most famously in Mortal Kombat 9, where he's one of the most overpowered characters in all of fighting game history. And other games like MK11, when he shows up again, took people a while to realize and unlocking a lot of the variations. But yeah, Kabal turns out still really, really strong. The difference maker to me, though, is Akuma is strong outside of his home base. He has also been running the show in Tekken for quite a number of years. And in other games, besides Street Fighter that he makes an appearance in, he usually tends to do well for himself as well. Just a few days ago now, as of the time of me making this video, Akuma won the Tekken World Tour Finals. And you know what? That's a big accomplishment in and of itself, but it's not even the first time he's done it. When it was time for grand finals for the 2019 Tekken World Tour Finals, well, Akuma was the character that was busted out. This is the character I'm going to win the whole tournament with. Over the years, through a lot of different games and a lot of different revisions within those games as well, Akuma keeps showing up, either placing very high or just outright winning the tournament. If you've seen any amount of competitive Street Fighter over the years, or competitive Tekken or some other games, you've definitely seen this guy's face quite a bit. Like here, this is the character winning Evo in Street Fighter 4. Here we can see Akuma winning Evo in Street Fighter V, and this match in particular, by the way, I still think is one of the best matches of Street Fighter V ever. And heck, even in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where admittedly he's not the best character, you can still find Akuma on a winning team, a team that has won Evo in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So that all said, now let's talk about Akuma. What made him this way? What is the attraction? What keeps us fascinated? This is the story of Akuma. So if we're talking why Akuma is so dominant throughout fighting game history as a whole, we gotta start at the start, and we gotta start at his origins. So Akuma was the super secret boss in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. You could not fight him normally. You had to, if I recall, play without using any continues, and I think you had to get a few perfects in there as well. So you had to perform exceptionally well going up to the final boss. And keep in mind, final boss, so he one-shots Bison when he shows up. We've been trained, when we were kids back in the day, for years, that Bison's the ultimate big bad, right? He's the top of the totem pole, and Akuma wipes him away like he's nothing. So he's definitely some hot stuff. And of course, he has an absolutely insane moveset that's just, frankly, not fair. Akuma is cheap, straight up. And of course, the thing about arcades back in the day, they wanted your quarters, so they did let you play as Akuma as well. It was this whole convoluted thing. You had to pick Ryu for 3 seconds, then pick T-Hawk for 3 seconds, then Guile for 3 seconds, then Cammy for 3 seconds, then back to Ryu for 3 seconds, then hit start and all 3 punches at the same time. And if you manage to pull this off, and the timing is pretty strict, took me a couple recordings to actually get this, just so you know, if you do it correctly, then boom, you get the big shadow, and then you get to play as Akuma. Now here's the thing about Akuma as the playable character. he's not as good as the boss character. But even though he's not as good as the boss character, he's still wildly the best character in the game and is banned in all competitive formats. And even if you played him in a casual setting, well, you'd get some dirty looks, because Akuma is just not fun to fight against. So even at the beginning of all things, we have this mystique of an absolutely untouchable character. Now, granted, in later years, other games, untouchable isn't the word for Akuma anymore, because we learned things like, oh, games should probably be balanced. That's probably a good idea, right? So in, say, the Street Fighter 3 series, Akuma's alright, but he's certainly not one of the dominant characters of the game. Now, say Street Fighter Alpha, Akuma is very good in Street Fighter Alpha 3 specifically, although to be fair, part of what makes your character good in Alpha 3 is how well you can abuse the V-ism system, as almost all the top picks are V-ism characters. And going into the more modern era of Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, yeah, Akuma's always been good. Akuma's been solid throughout all of Street Fighter 4's lifetime, if not just downright excellent, depending on the revision of the game, and for most of Street Fighter V's lifetime, up until Luke took over the game anyways, Akuma's been good to excellent in Street Fighter V. So what's the secret here, right? Well, it's kinda just the moveset. Now, in Street Fighter anyways, generally Akuma is a low health character, and in most games, the lowest health character, to compensate for his offense. But the thing is, in a fighting game, having a very strong offense is a very good thing. Historically, especially in Street Fighter, a character with low health will almost always be better than a character with high health, because high health characters have less options, low health characters have more options, and having more options, well, is just about, for the most part, always better. And Akuma, with his exceptionally low health, that means he has really big offense and a lot of options to work with. Like, let's look at how it usually goes. He's got the fireball, he's got a hurricane kick, and yes, he has the uppercut. This is not new, sure. But he's got more than just a fireball. He also has multi-hitting fireballs, for an example. He also has aerial fireballs, for another example. And some versions of him, he gets to shoot two at once, or shoot them while he's running away backwards. That hurricane kick of his lets him get combos without burning any bar. Depending game to game, his uppercut is just plain better. He gets the demon flip and all the many myriad of gimmicks associated with that, and has a throw with it, not the least of which. He gets to teleport all over the screen at will, pretty handy. And a lot of games, even when he has a perfectly serviceable super move, he still gets the Raging Demon, which is usually one of the, if not the most damaging move in whatever game he's in. So he's pretty set. All these many options are certainly worth giving up a few points of health for, right? Maybe he dies one touch faster, but he'll get more opportunities to get that one hit that matters in, and usually when he hits you, he's going to hit you harder than you're going to hit him. And of course, now when he leaves Street Fighter, and a lot of the core Street Fighter rules here, like when he's in Tekken, he breaks the game in a lot of fundamental ways, because he can just do stuff you can't do in Tekken. A lot of the Street Fighter tricks he brings in are things that other characters cannot do in Tekken 7. Like, say, getting your hit confirm into a focus attack dash cancel combo. Turns out not everyone else gets to do stuff like that, right? So bringing in a lot of his usual tricks, wherever he is, these tricks are very powerful, to say the least. And one aspect maybe we don't talk about as much, but Akuma, well, he's very popular. And a very popular character, there's an incentive there to make them more powerful. Not always, not always, not always. It doesn't happen every single time, right? But it's there sometimes. Like in Street Fighter V, Akuma was not launch roster, he was DLC. And that very much looks to be the case again come Street Fighter 6, that he will be DLC as well. So when you have a character people are going to have to spend money on, and it's one of the pillars of your franchise, there's an incentive for the character to be pretty decent. But yeah, not to get too long-winded about it, through multiple games, through multiple franchises even, Akuma is a threat, and he's always very strong, if not just outright the top dog. So that said, this is where I'm going to throw it to you guys and speak up in the comments below. Do you agree that Akuma, overall pound for pound, is the most dominant character in fighting game history? Is there stronger characters in certain one-off games? Sure. Like, is Ivan Ooze in the Power Rangers fighting game thing? Is he stronger than Akuma in any revision? Yeah, I guess so, because he's super broken. But Ivan Ooze was just a one-off, right? Akuma is a franchise over decades, and he's always strong. So again, let me know in the comments below. And otherwise, well, I guess we're at the end of the video. So that all said, thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. And be it Street Fighter, be it Tekken, be it whatever franchise Akuma shows up in, go out and play some fighting games.